Howdy, y'all. So I got these nets or screens, whatever you want to call them. They're supposed to go over top of a barrel. I'm going to use them for my water catchment barrels. Try to keep mosquitoes and other debris and stuff out of there. There's a bunch of mosquitoes that's in there, and from what I understand, it takes about 9 days for their whole cycle, start to finish, before they take off flying. So as long as you impede that process, basically they should die, and they shouldn't be able to start over as long as they can't get back in there. Take these nets or screens, whatever, and put it over top of the barrel here, and see how they do in a couple days. It's probably going to be about a week before it rains, but ideally it should kill all the bugs that's inside the net or inside the barrel already, because they won't be able to fly out. And the water's all the way up to the top, so there's not a whole lot of room for them to do really anything. So they should all pretty much die. Should end the process of their evolution, or not evolution, but just their, from larva stage to the adult stage where they grow wings and fly off and all that, whatever. But so that's the screen right there. It's 39 inches across, I believe, and looking at it now, it's like the material, it's kind of thin, so I don't really know how that's going to hold up. And also, it doesn't have edges where it's going to directly go over the side of the barrel. It has these drawstrings with a cinch, so you can pull it tight. So I'm not sure how exactly this is going to work out for the barrels I got, because I don't think that they really have a lip to grab onto. So we'll see how this works. I might end up having to return this stuff, but I'll do a couple videos as time goes on, a couple weeks from now, if it works out. I think I have like a month before I can to return it for free. Otherwise, I'm pretty much stuck with it. Although they didn't cost much. I think I got 4 of them for like 15 bucks or something like that. So they're pretty cheap. It's not going to break the bank. It'll keep the bugs out. That's pretty much the main idea. And then also any kind of debris or anything, because I'm getting rainwater off of the roof, which you're not going to catch everything. I mean, this thing's not, it's just a tiny screen. It's not going to block everything, but hopefully it'll block at least the majority of everything, and then I could filter the water if I ever need it for drinking water. But mostly this water is just used for my chickens, and then for watering the garden, that sort of thing. So it's not too big of a deal how much like sediment gets in there, because usually it just sinks to the bottom. It's really not good for the water, obviously, but by the time it gets to the second barrel, there's no sediment that's going to be in there, because all the sediment's going to be in the first barrel. The water's transferred from the top of the barrels. So if anything, whatever minute amount that might be leached into the water in the first barrel could potentially be transferred to the second barrel, but I don't think it's going to be any significant amount. And all the poison and shit that they spray in the air, and we eat in our food and drink in our water, I don't think this is going to be anything much different. It's probably going to be a lot cleaner anyway. It's the whole idea here, try to get cleaner, safer water. Eventually this idea is going to transform into something else. I'm going to try to eventually plumb the house with rainwater and come up with some sort of filtration system. I was going to use reverse osmosis, but the problem with that is you have to have a pump. There's no real, or there is, but I think it's much more expensive. I was trying to find something that basically drip the water through, just gravity it through the filter, and make that work. Alright, y'all, over here at the Water Catchment Center, basically part 2 of the video here. I'm going to try to put these nets or screens on top of these barrels here, and see how they hold on there, and see if the mosquitoes die off, the larvae that's in the water, and just kind of see how they hold up. It's going to be probably a week till it rains, so going to be a while till I can figure that part out. But as long as the wind don't blow it off, it should be fine. Or if these things don't rip, that's the other side of it, because they're kind of thin. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work, but here we go. Well, I remember I only made a short video of this a few weeks ago. It was pouring down rain, so I didn't get to do a whole real good review of what's going on here. So basically, I built this deck. It's 4 feet off the ground. These 2x4s is sticking out. Eventually, I'll cut those off. I just hadn't got back to it. Been busy doing other things, other hobbies and whatever. And I check it every day, though. Come out here and make sure the posts aren't splitting and wood's not separating and nothing shifting, because that's a lot of weight up there. Both of those barrels are full right now, and 55 gallons of water is roughly like 450 gallons a piece, I believe. It's something right around that ballpark. So there's probably about a half ton of water sitting in there right now. The deck itself is probably about 300 or 400 pounds. So this whole arrangement is probably almost a ton. You're pretty dang close to a ton. I plan on putting at least 2 more of those barrels up there to have about a 200 gallon capacity. Is that, or I'm going to try to get IBC totes and put 1 or 2 of those up there, and I'll have 375 gallons or 425 gallons each IBC tote. And if I put 2 of those up there, I'll have closer to like, above 800 or 900 gallons of water once they're full. And this should definitely last for a long time. Should be, good month and a half, 2 months supply of rainwater, provided that if I had to use this as drinking water. It also provide water for my chickens, my garden. But then if I was to use it for drinking water, filter the water and use it for cleaning and bathing and drinking and all these different things, I mean, I could definitely put this water to use. But with 55 gallon barrels, and even at 200 gallons capacity, that water goes quick. I could use one of these barrels in a couple days, especially the chickens. They have to be pampered, they like to be spoiled, so I usually flood their chicken area once it gets too hot. It kind of gives them a little bit of a reprieve. They kind of step in the water and cool down a little bit, and then they go in there and dig up seeds and worms and all that stuff. So, but yeah, that's the overall gist of what I did here and why I did it and all that. I'll go up here in a minute and look inside the barrel. You can see all the way to the bottom. The water's clean, but you'll see little larvae in there kind of swimming around. It's mosquito larvae, and that's what I'm kind of like. That's one of the things I'm trying to get away from. I don't want no bugs in the water. But then I also don't want no debris from the roof. The granulate from the asphalt roof that might wash down the roof and into the gutter when it rains. But you get a little bit of that pretty much every single time. So there's only so much you can do about that. But like I said, this is mainly for my chickens and my garden, so it's not a huge deal one way or the other. But nothing wrong with trying to stay a little cleaner as far as what might be in the water, what chemical might be leaching into the water, that sort of thing. You see here, comes from my gutter, goes into the first barrel, goes into that tube between them, which goes to the second barrel, and it goes down this long gutter, which that's not permanent. This is just what I came up with while it was raining, and haven't modified it since. It goes over to this ditch that's between the 2 property lines, so the water can be removed instead of sitting on the ground by the foundation of the garage here. So it's kind of a 2 birds 1 stone thing. I'm catching the rainwater, but I'm also diverting the water, so it doesn't cause any damage to my foundation here. I already have a couple bricks on the bottom here. So it's cracked, and probably in a couple years, if not sooner, I'm going to have to do something to fix that, because I can't have a wall starting to sag or just anything like that. This building cost way too much money to build for it not to be taken care of properly, just because the gutters ran properly and all that. But that was basically before I bought this place. And basically it was somebody else's mistake, so I'm going to blame it on them. It's not my fault. Haha. So, but it is my responsibility now. I got to come up with some way to fix it, fix their mistake, kind of thing. And I'm going to climb up here and look inside the barrels and try to put this net on here. And I'll come back here in a minute. All right, y'all. So you can see that this is the second barrel, and it's full to the top here. And you see how these hoses transfer the water. This is water coming from the first barrel, and this is water going out of the second barrel. It goes down that long gutter and goes to the ditch over there when it overflows, basically. So it never actually overflows as far as the top. It just this is the high point. So that's where the water line stops. So it never overflows. And ideally, I won't have any granulate or mosquito larvae swimming around there. So I don't know if you could actually see. You can see all the way to the bottom. Maybe. I mean, I can. I think you can kind of see right there. You can see all the way to the bottom, but I can't really see the little larvae in the video. They're obviously there. A little mosquito on the top, but the larvae's in there swimming around. There's hundreds of them. Yeah, I'm going to try to put on these nets, and I'll come back here in a minute. Alright, y'all, got these screens put on here. And as you can see, they're way bigger than I needed, really. But turns out I did have a pretty good lip to kind of secure this on. And I'm pulling up on it, and it doesn't seem like it's just going to easily fall off. They said this stuff's pretty thin, so we'll see how that holds up. But as you can see here, the water will easily be able to go through the screen. It should keep out all the debris and all that, and keep out the bugs too. You can see here I'm pulling on it. Not a whole lot, but that should be more than what the wind could be able to do, which means that shouldn't fall off there. Now, obviously, this is going to sink down into the water and whatever, but it still should keep the bugs out of the water. If nothing else, I could maybe put a screen or something in there to hold it up out of the water. I guess that kind of defeats the purpose of this screen. I don't know, I have to come up with something so maybe it don't just sit in the water, because otherwise there's going to be a few gallons of water where the bugs will still be able to get to. So I have to come up with something there. But from my initial opinion here, it looks like it's at least going to hold on. It's not going to blow off. Because I've seen that in the reviews. A lot of people said it just blew right off. The cinch wouldn't hold tight, and it would just blow off in the middle of a storm. So I hope I don't have that problem. It doesn't look like I'm going to. We'll see when the next storm comes, see what happens here. But as of now, looks like it's going to work. Just wish it was a little bit smaller, I guess. I didn't realize it was going to be that much bigger. Mainly, I could have put it down the sides if I didn't already have these holes there, but I can't really go around the holes since the net, But yeah, that's what I got so far. So hopefully that works out. I'll check in a couple days, maybe a week or two, and make sure everything inside there is dead, because there should be no bugs alive in a couple days here. Because there's nothing to get in, there's nothing to get out. So it all should basically just die. It's just water, and good enough for the chickens in the garden. And then maybe one day for filtered water for inside the house. We'll see. But we'll save that for another day. All right, y'all.